So we are a group called Ninja Signals Trading. We have a Telegram, not a Telegram, sorry, Discord. And every Thursday, we're going to go over these live trading scenarios, get people kind of acclimated to maybe some live trading scenarios. But note, we will only take a live trade if one presents itself, right? Like if we get close to our, our sell zone, our short trade, if it looks nice, we'll take it and I'll go over the live scenario. If not, I'll just go over some teaching because the last thing we want to do is force bad habits and force a trade on stream just to have a trade on stream, right? So these will happen every Thursday, live at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. They'll go for typically a little bit under an hour. If we end up getting a crazy move on Bitcoin, I'll go as long as we need to for the gains. But yeah, typically about an hour. So let me just go over our group right here. So this is our Telegram. First and foremost, this is our new Instagram that we just made this week. So go ahead and give it a follow. There's some nice updates right here. So this is a trading nugget, and any YouTube videos that get uploaded get alerted here too. And there's some nice nuggets right here. Look at this. This was 2 days ago. Doge getting listed on Coinbase. Here comes the pump, but watch out for the dump. So what ended up happening? So there was that listing dump, right? It's rebounding a little bit now, but there was that initial 22% listing dump. So we have some very helpful content to keep an eye on. But also some examples of our trades, of our successes. Of course, we post our winnings right here. So for the month, we hit 96% win rate, 44 wins, 2 losses. So we're not infallible. Make sure to use risk management. But we caught some nice pips right here. If you're familiar with the pip system, 400,000 pips, it's quite a bit. If you have a small account and need to use much smaller position sizes, you probably made a decent penny. I would say at least doubled your account if you follow most of our trades. All of our trades are, how do I go to this next picture? All of our trades are tracked, as you can see in this picture. It's actually all posted in our group too, profits and winning. So all of our trades are tracked right here. So it's no BS. Okay, so this is brand new. And let's see if I can go to the stories. There's some nice profits and winning as well. Reminder of the Zoom call. So this will be your updates and alerts. And this is our website right here, our main website. We also just launched actually a new news channel. So this is neat right here. So this website, ninjacryptonews.com, aggregates all of the top news headlines and pulls it. So if you wanted to know about the Doge listing, just search Doge. And there's some Doge stuff. So a couple of days ago, that's where I pulled the article. I rarely ever trade off of news, but listings are important. Major events are important. So like Tesla buying Bitcoin or, whatever. Or a lot of other times it's interesting to see what other people are looking at. Sometimes counter trade it or just see what the market is looking at. Like this. Dogecoin could test 50 cents if the 20-day MA turns into support. Well, not yet. So it actually the listing almost pumped it to 50 cents. That's funny. So yeah, so long story short, inside of our, and here's our YouTube channel. So there's some very nice videos here. Like every aspiring YouTuber says, give it a like, subscribe, and follow. Make 5 more accounts. Like, subscribe, and follow. Get your whole family to give it 1,000 likes. I'm just kidding. But actually, this one's interesting right here. So this is a very powerful video, Cryptocurrency, Market Secrets, and Psychology. I recommend you give that a look. That one's also about game theory as well. In here, once you look at this video, you'll understand exactly why Elon Musk tweeted about Dogecoin yesterday before the listing while it was pumping. And there was no, as far to my knowledge, there was no Elon Musk tweet anytime before this, like right before this dump happened, as he's a smart guy and he knows that it's about to dump. Taking profits and managing trades. This is an important one if you're an investor as well. Oh, and another thing about our Instagram, we give some levels right here. I gave you guys the free $70 level before it happened on AMC, just because a lot of people were asking about AMC, and so far it's been the top. So, long story short, to go over our group, we have, so this is a cryptocurrency educational and signal group. So every single week I do an analysis. I give you an analysis video. We have some altcoin analysis. Right now it's just Doge dumping. So Bitcoin, so I literally give you all the trade setups. I give you all the take profits. I give you all the analysis. So this is the spoon feeding part where you need a little bit of basic knowledge to understand, but I basically give you all the trade setups to where they win. And there's video modules to learn as well, which I believe is equally as important. But, this is where you can earn while you learn. So also a nice thing about inside of our group. So let's see here. So you could request, analysis on altcoins as well. So there's custom requests if you want to buy into an asset or an altcoin. And when Bitcoin is boring, Bitcoin, let's be real, has been boring lately, which is a very relaxed trading environment. We actually make a lot of money off of boring, but you have one trade setup and you wait for it to play out for a very long time. So, okay. So we could request, stocks as well. So let's see here. All right, so look at this. So I posted this in the group right here. AMC was pumping. It was at $50 at the time. I was like $70, 3.618 extension. Look at that, to the dollar. That TA hocus pocus right there. And then just this morning, let's see here. Okay, so it is to the dollar. Okay, so we had someone ask, actually it got deleted, but this member asked, maybe it was in altcoins. Nope. But anyways, there was a question about AMC re-entry. Okay, so this morning AMC started dumping, right? We had this massive dump right here in the morning, and the question was, where should we get in? And the answer was, that $42 is a nice mark. Here's the analysis. We do some analysis on demand, and after that $42 entry, this was maybe a couple of hours later, bam, right there. This was like instant 62% profits. Not bad, not bad. So yeah, that's the gist of what we do in our group. So all right, so let's get to it. So the number one question right now is entering trades and taking profits, right? So I'll stop plugging our amazing group right here. But seriously, guys, if you want to learn trading, if you have serious money in the game, I recommend some education. It doesn't have to be here, but get some good education. There's a lot of free stuff out there, but I would say that if you're past the free education and you want to get some next level paid education, your money's probably spent well right here. We have this one time only 50% off sale going on for this month. Pretty rare stuff. So, all right, let's go into entries. And so I believe the question was, can I go over entries and stop losses and the thinking? So if I understand this question properly, let me use this example last night, right? So what you have to understand about trading is there's two aspects, right? There's all the technicals, your basic textbook technicals, and then there's all your game theory stuff, right? So there's all of your outside of the box thinking. And I think the big thing of why we do so well is the outside of the box thinking, right? So let me go over this setup specifically that we had. Let me find it. So at the time, this is what you were looking at when this setup got popped. Okay, right here. So we were at 37.9 and this setup, happened, right? So I'll go over entering it specific entries, but here's the overall macro thinking, right? So Bitcoin, we are in a massive sideways range, right? People get bored of ranges, but I'll say this every single time, we love ranges. And right around here on our weekend update, I said, keep an eye on this symmetrical triangle that, is going to be in the public eye very soon. And what's really funny is, so I gave that update on 5/31, and then like clockwork, you start perusing the interwebs, and look at this symmetrical triangle breakout to the moon, and this was on 2nd of June, right? And you have this symmetrical triangle breakout to the moon, right? So you have that, right? So the thing about Bitcoin is a lot of these textbook patterns, whatever formations, they do play out once in a while. But after you watch the market psychology, the market secrets video, you'll understand that a lot of the times these big, we call them market makers, the big money, they need a lot of small money to fill their orders, right? So once you get this many eyes on a very obvious pattern, like, look, you don't have to be a technical analysis expert. You don't need to be in our group to know that this is a symmetrical triangle, right? Maybe down here before it was formed, you need a little bit more skill, which is where we identified it. So we were a little bit ahead of the game. Right here, it doesn't take a genius to see this symmetrical triangle. So now that a lot of eyes are on it, there's a very good chance that hundreds of thousands of people saw it and they're waiting for this breakout trade, right? Back test, boom, to 50K. So if they're waiting for this, this is perfect liquidity to go into shorts, right? So there's two factors. Number one, if we're trading a symmetrical triangle, when you come up to the top of the triangle, you want to look for shorts, right? Because there's probability that it goes back into the triangle. Number two, we've been overall in this range and we're coming up to the range highs. So with us, we like to short the resistance and long the support, right? So, and let me tell you why. So we're in a massive range right here. If you're the person shorting into support, so if you're the person that's like, oh my God, Bitcoin is crashing, we're going down to 20K, right? And it's coming down here, you're like, oh my God, it's tanking, it's gonna do this, right? What ended up happening? If you're the person shorting that, wrecked 16% to the upside, right? Same thing. We're coming down to the bottom of the range. We broke the last low. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. What ended up happening? 30% to the upside, wrecked. The same thing right here, right? There's all the bearish news. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. We're going to, Bitcoin's going to zero. What ends up happening? Wrecked. So if you'll see, this is where we've been looking for longs, and just to prove it to you. We've been long from 34, 33K range, right? So we like to look for, especially when you're in a range, right? If you're doing this, you probably don't want to look for a long, like when it's coming down here, you don't want to look for a long and catch the knife and get wrecked. So while we're in a range, when we start approaching the bottom of the range, we look for longs. Top of the range, we look for shorts, right? If you're another person that's like, oh my God, Bitcoin just hit the bottom and it's going to the moon, and you long right here, wrecked, right? After the same people are like, oh my God, Bitcoin's dying, and then when we come back, Bitcoin's going to the moon, and you long, wrecked again, right? So same thing right here. I'm not saying we can't go higher right here, but the higher probability trade was to look for a short, right? Because the two factors, again, we're in this massive range and then we're in this massive symmetrical triangle. So that's why down here, if you look in our group down here, we're looking for longs because we're coming down to the bottom of the range and the bottom of the symmetrical triangle, and we come up and we look for shorts, right? So this is the psychology leading up to this trade, which leads us up to why we took this short. Okay, so going into my thinking for this, there was two factors, right? There's going to be the breakout and the fake out, which I've been saying now for quite a while. Actually, in the weekend update, I give you the fake out. So that was fake out to the downside. Then the fake out, more confluence for fake out, juicy short. So I've been looking for that, right? Does that mean that Bitcoin can't do the fake out up here and go lower? It can do that. It can very well do that. But we had a lot of confluence around here. And that's why this is our first area for looking for a short, the immediate breakout of the triangle, right? And this is where, so I was on a boat yesterday, but I gave the message to the group for reference. I do have shorts preset around, this was the setup, the 39.1, 39.2 with a wider stop loss because I thought the fake out could go a little bit higher, but our stop loss actually caught it still. So this was our sell zone with our, with our stop loss. This was right above, there's another high volume node right here, but we don't need to go into that. So when I give these levels, there's very specific reasons. So two things to note for, especially for people in the group, if I give a level, if I give a trade, or if I give a free setup somewhere, and I tell you I'm presetting and walking away from the computer, there's a very high level of confidence, right? And even when I went to sleep, I didn't say I was taking the preset off. So actually I went to bed with this, I took profit right about here, take profit 1, let's take profit 2. So yeah, so if I have the confidence to preset and walk away, what you can do is if you need to put a wider stop loss in, because I realize this is quite a wide stop loss, about $400. What you can do is decrease your position size and leave the order. Or what you can do is ladder, right? If this is your stop loss, actually, wait, let me go over that in a second. Let me finish this thought, right? So with all of this game theory knowledge and market dynamics, now I could be wrong, 100%. I could be wrong, which is why we use stop losses. But sometimes when you get these feelings and you look at what everybody else is looking at, and this for the people in the group when there's strong confluence on a trade, and I post that on presetting, that's easy. That's free money right there. That's easy money, right? 80% chance that's free money right there. So at least set a small position to where your stop loss won't kill you. And if you take that 8 times out of 10, you'll win. So if you do that for the next 8 times, you'll be pretty profitable. So coming back to this, right? So if you're, let me see, how do I have done this for a while? How do I cut? Okay. So the trade was given right about here, right? So if you're looking at this, I think the number one question is, how do I approach this? So as I mentioned, this was a preset order. So I will go over how that played out. But first and foremost, let me go over if you were in front of your computer and you market order this, right? So a lot of trades that we end up taking are, you want to see it live and you want to see it happen. And, presetting is, if it's not a strong level, it's pretty dangerous. So first things first, we have 2 strong levels right here. We have a daily close and we have a naked point of control, right? So there's explainer videos on these individually, especially the daily closes. So for the people in the group, that's support and resistance part 2. I strongly recommend that support and resistance part 2 video. it goes over, actually I won't show you, but it goes over how to find these daily, weekly, monthly closes. Very powerful video, right? So we have a strong level. We know that there's a potential for a fake out. This is worth at least a scalp, right? So as we come up, this is what you do if you're not in front of your computer. Number one, set an alert. It can be anywhere in this region. Okay. Okay, it's a replay, but that's how you do it. So you right click, set add an alert. Okay. And then as you come up to the level, you start watching, right? So two things that you can do is when you have two levels that are spread apart, the first level, so what Bitcoin likes to do is sometimes if there's two major levels that are pretty close together, but still at the same time a little bit far apart, it likes to do this and then this. So that's something to keep in mind, especially if there's a 618 and a 66 golden pocket right there. It'll touch the 618, bounce like a couple $1,000 or at least $1,000 and come back and swipe the lower support. That's a nugget right there. So remember, that was this right here. So at the time, this was the 618, and this was around this little below the 66. So it did this, came up a couple of $1,000, and then came back, right? So there was two trades off of that one setup. So that was just off the top of my head the very last time that it did that. So even down here, right, there was a initial support, bounced off, swiped it, and then came through, grabbed the liquidity. And the reason it does that is you have your initial strong support or resistance, and the bots and algos will automatically trigger a bounce. And then the market makers know that their stop losses right past there is liquidity. So that's why sometimes it does. So let's say if this was a 618, the bots and algos, they immediately trigger a bounce. And then you could, a lot of times that's a winning trade or at least take profit one, right? And then it knows there's stop losses right here. Stop loss below the high, or if it does this, there's stop loss below the low. Okay. And then, so what it does is if they really want to respect this level, they'll still go and grab the liquidity and right back down or right back up. So let's keep that in mind. So what I would do is set that alert, and then you watch the price action. Okay. We going? Okay. So you start coming up to here. Okay. So, no, pause. Okay. So at this point, you set your alert. Your alert probably went off, but it never hit your level. This is a very concerning sign if you're in front of your computer, if you have orders set right here, right? So as a general rule of thumb, if you preset orders, you want to ladder them. So if this was a preset, your initial orders are, it's a red flag. So here, what ends up happening is if you tap the level and came back, that's a whole nother story, but you literally front ran the level, okay? And then you reject it off of it, right? Very, very rarely will you see Bitcoin get this close and then come back and then go boom to the level. So, I don't remember exactly what happened here, but this is a warning sign number one. So if you're, and remember in my message, I said my stop loss is a little bit wider. So if you're looking at this and you say, okay, so if I'm market ordering at one price, or if I have one trade, be very careful of these. Doesn't mean they can't play out, but be very careful of entering in the original half of the box. If you have laddered entries, I mean, they should be smaller down here, but still be careful with these entries, right? And then let's keep going. Came back quite a bit, actually. This is fun. It's like watching a movie. See, look at that. Came to our level and then just went right through. Okay. But it did not break our stop loss. Okay, so let me pause. So when you want to get into an entry, okay, I come down to the 1 minute, literally, and see what happens on the 1 minute. I also monitor the volume I have what's called exo charts, but that gets a lot more advanced, right? So, okay, so let me analyze this. So right here, you come to a level, you essentially go through and you come back, right? As I mentioned, be very wary of this level because we stopped, what is this? $77 from the level, pulled back $500. That's a bit of a warning sign that this level is probably not going to get rejected or respected $77 later. But we do have another daily level right here, right? So as you're coming up, price literally shoots right through the zone, comes back, right? So if you're not in preset orders and you know this is our level and this is our entry area, the good news is if you're just pressing market order, you didn't have a whole lot of time to start trying to say, do I enter, do I enter? Price literally told you like, hey, I'm going right through. I'm going through right through to the, through the level, but it did not stop our break our stop loss area. So I had strategically placed these stop losses. So if it does not break the stop loss, pay attention to that. When it comes back down, so this part was actually very concerning if you're already in a position because it literally backtested the daily level and went up, right? So usually these back tests are a sign that it's going to continue, but it does not. So it comes through a second time. This is where you get interested. So when it comes back down into our zone, this is where you start getting interested, right? So if it leaves our zone, does not break our stop loss, comes back into our sell zone or buy zone for that matter, if this was inverted, this is where you start. Here, let me invert this. Keep forgetting. Well, there we go. Okay. So if this was on the buy side, shoots through, but does not break the stop loss. There we go, right there. Okay, stop loss is down here. This is where you start getting interested when it comes back in. Okay, so back to this example. So the idea is to catch it when it's coming back into the sell zone. So this is it right here. But in this scenario, it happened very, very quickly. So idea number one is if you're market ordering this, you just sell right here, right? If you miss it, what you do is a lot of the times, if it breaks, so if there's multiple levels within a sell zone, if it breaks, the top level comes back in. A lot of the times it'll back test and give you a second entry lower part into the sell zone. You see this time and time again to where if you miss it, set an alert to see if it ever back tests. So let's see how this plays out. Okay. So let's say you missed the trade, right? Okay. So I don't know what's going on there, but you got a second opportunity. So ideally, as I mentioned, you want to get in on the way down. Okay, this would have been, so if you caught it somewhere in here, you would have taken profit a couple hundred pips in. So as a general rule of thumb, 300 to 600. If 500 happens really quick, do it. But you probably would have got 200 happened really quick, and then 400 happened really quick, and then 500 happened, right? So you could have taken your take profit one, stop loss at entry, but then remember, if you miss the entry, it can come back. So just keep in the back of your mind that it can come back, right? So if it comes back and you get stopped out, remember on the retest, right? We have this big daily level here too. We have a strong point of control. So remember, watch out for the retest. If it comes back, if you miss this and it comes back in, you had plenty of opportunity to get in right here with the stay sorry, with the same stop loss right here, right? So, and then same thing, if you took this trade, this one came down pretty quick. So that's an easy take profit one, hits 300 to 400 pips really quick. So that's your take profit one. And then other take profits, you want to look for major levels, and then you want to look for the 3 to golden pocket strategy. I'll make a separate video on that in a members only video. A lot of these strategies I did not invent. I just adopted it, but that take profit strategy I did invent. So I'll make a separate video on that. It's very powerful. So that's your second entry. Take profit, stop loss at entry, another free trade. So this is coming back. If this comes back, I doubt it gives us a third entry, to be honest. But that's it right there. So let me know if that made sense. If you're looking at it in front of your computer and you want to market order it. The second scenario is if you place, if you place limit orders, what do you do, right? So this happened overnight. I was asleep. Most of the, North America was asleep. So this is what you do. Cut this. So we were like right here, right? So this is what you do if you set limit orders and you just go to sleep. Take a drink of water. All right, so if this is the zone and here's the levels, here's your stop loss. If you cannot take partials, I would always recommend setting like 6 orders. So what you can do is you can just, the easy way is to spread 6 evenly through here. If any of this is confusing, you could just spread 6 orders. Or if you want to get a little more safer with it, here's what you do. You go 2 orders right in front of this level. You can go 2 orders in the middle, and you go 2 orders, or you can go 1. Oh, that is yellow. And then you go 1 right above, right? Okay. When you do something like this and you put orders outside of your sell zone, be full aware that they might not get hit, and we're just okay with that. So 2 2 1 1. Yeah, probably move this down a little bit, right? So you can draw this out on your own chart. So here's the issue though. If you place even orders, so you place a third, and then you split a third here, your first third is, that's 400 pips. That would, that's not a wide stop loss in crypto, but if you put a full position here, that could hurt, right? So what you do is you weigh them. So if you put a trade in, let's just say a trade that you, let's just say you put $100 trade right here, right? So this is for like, if you have bybit orders, you put maybe 20% down here, then you put 30 to 40% right here. So that's 60%. And you put the last 40 to 50% right here. You weigh it, right? So this is for if you're walking away, because if you're walking away, you want, rule number 1 is capital preservation, right? So even though, you have 20% of your order down here, even though if this happens and then, this plummets to like 30K, you're saying to yourself, wow, I could have made so much more money, but I only put in 20% position size. You got to think about it this way, right? You always have to protect yourself in the event that your trade is wrong. So if it smashes through, only 20% of your trade has a super wide stop loss, to where most of your trade, you have a much more narrow stop loss, right? So that's 200 pips, a lot more. You could stomach that a lot more than 400. So you make these orders. This is your lightest order. This is a little bit lighter, and you make these your heaviest orders. So that way, your average order is probably somewhere right here, and it doesn't hurt your stop losses don't hurt as much when you go all the way up. Does that make sense? So you want to, and this is too, I mean, even if you're in front of your computer and you have these orders weighted. So remember I said, as we approach you, if you already have your limit order set, if you saw it approach right here and it starts going back $78 before your level, you could remove this one, maybe even this one, and just start moving them to these orders or move them up a little bit more, right? So it's probably going to overshoot the level. I would move them all to right here. And you would have just had a full order coming all the way from up here. And you actually would have never got stopped out the second time up on that retest. So you always want to ladder orders, and you want to make sure that they're weighted to where the furthest away is the smallest position size from the stop loss. The one that's closest to the stop loss is the heaviest, right? If you have a larger account and you can risk more, obviously you can just equally go thirds. So a third, and split your third right here. Or, if you have a really large account, you really don't worry about stop losses. I would not recommend it. You can just put your whole order right here for simplicity. Just put your stop loss right here. So with that being said, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute bathroom break, if that made sense, or if not, let me know in the chat comments. I'll be right back in 2 minutes. Okay, so hope that made sense. And we're probably just going to wrap this up right here because Bitcoin is literally just, I mean, it had a little bit of a pump, but this is a lot of sideways right here. So I'm going to wrap this up, but this strategy right here, it doesn't have to be my trade setup, but this could be used in any kind of a trade setup, right? So if you find a position for yourself, we'll use a long this time because we use a short. Okay, so if this was your position, and let's say for whatever reason, you decided this is your entry, right? You probably have to have some level of confluence. And here's the thing about confluence. Very rarely do you get a couple of levels of confluence that line up. Very rarely is there like 3 levels like right here, right? That just all line up. Sometimes it happens like that. But most of the time, if you have confluence, it's probably like something like this, right? A couple of levels that are clustered, maybe 2 are together. Maybe you have a 4th like right here. Usually if you have support resistance levels, Fibonacci levels, they're all spread out, right? So usually when you see a setup and a setup plays out, I would say 95% of the time, it does not go like this, right? To the dollar, right? If you know somebody that can call to the dollar every single high and low, let me know, because I haven't found that yet. Usually when somebody gives a setup, it happens like this, right? Or happens like this, goes deep into the stop loss and then comes up here, or just happens like this. Or sorry, this is the worst, right? So you see that a lot. So if you have a setup like this and you just place one entry, here's what happens, right? In that last scenario I gave, okay, you just missed the trade. Your analysis was very good. You came within, how much is this? Came within $30 in crypto, which in crypto, that's nothing, right? Came $30 within being right. This is very frustrating. Okay. Second scenario, this happens, goes deep within your stop loss. I would classify this as a win, but your average entry is right here. Could have been right here, right? Third scenario, your trade is wrong. That happens, okay? Doesn't matter, but now your average, risk is this, as opposed to if you ladder and weigh your entries, right? If you have an entry right, where was my, okay. If you have an entry right above, your major level, you have an entry right here, and you have your entry right here where they're weighted. This one's light, this one's heavier, this one's the heaviest. You have something like this. Your average entry is probably going to be right about here, right? Or if you, even if you do them equally and they're not weighted, they're going to be right here. So probably move this down a little bit. Okay. And obviously use these according to your confluences. So in this scenario, if you come down and do this, now your risk is this much, which is a lot less. Or if your entries were weighted, your average entry would be right about there. Now your risk is this much, to where even if it does one of these, right, and barely hits, you still have a winning trade, even though it's much smaller position size, you still won your trade. Whereas if it does, the second scenario does one of these, bounces around right here, now your average entry is much lower and your profits are much higher, right? The only scenario to where you make less money on here is if it does this exactly to the dollar, right? But I would say you average that out over 100 trades. This scenario is much better capital protection wise and profit wise than just one entry. So think in terms of 3 to 6 entries. If you look on my, so let me go over my last. So this is our May P&L sheet, which we got 400,000 pips, not bad. But if you look at this, there's always 6 take profit points, right? There's a specific reason for that. Sometimes we hit the 6 take profit points, sometimes we don't. But you want to have multiple in a designed for MT4 users. On bybit, you could, have 50 take profit points. It doesn't matter, right? But for MT4 users, that's why there's 6 profit points. So this is how you want to ladder your entries. It's just, not something that they teach you in school, but you don't want to just partake in a buy at one level, unless if you somehow can call the exact level of the high and low to the dollar 100% of the time. I mean, we do a good job of calling these highs and lows 80% of the time, but we almost never get it to the dollar, right? Except for that one own level that I marked out, that trade that I missed. I'll show you guys this one as a lesson. Made fun of myself in the group for this one. But so this one's all marked up now. So I gave this weekly level on Sunday as a really important level. Did not take it, literally hit it to the dollar. I mean, that even wasn't even to the dollar, right? But that's one of the few to the dollar trades that I messed up on. So that about wraps it up. I hope that makes sense. If there's any more questions, feel free to hit me up. This will be uploaded on YouTube. Hit me up in the YouTube comments. Hit me up on the Instagram, okay, which is right here, or put the questions in the group. So let's crush it. May was a very good month. Let's have an even better June. And I'll see you guys next Thursday, 2 p.m., same time. Peace.